For over 80 years, United Way of the Piedmont has united local nonprofits, businesses, and community members to tackle the biggest challenges facing Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties. And that continues today. We connect, engage, and inspire people to transform our community. We envision a community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, and we won't stop until we get there. But we can't do it alone. Together, we're tackling our community's most pressing issues with the most effective solutions, ensuring that every dollar donated is doing the most good for the most people. Together, we fight so that no family has to choose between paying their bills or feeding their kids. Together, we fight so that every child gets the education they deserve. Together, we fight so that our neighbors can have a warm meal. Together, we fight for the financial freedom of our community. Together, we fight for equity and justice. Together, we'll create a brighter tomorrow for our neighbors, co-workers, friends, and families. United, we can make change happen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathleen Brady, and I'm the current United Way of the Piedmont Board Chair. I'd like to welcome you to our 2021 Corporate and Community Leaders event. Hopefully, as things are getting back to a new normal, this will be the last time we host this event virtually. But we appreciate you being with us this morning, as we know your time is extremely valuable. I also want to take a moment to recognize some very special companies for supporting United Way. Let's take a look at this year's event sponsors.
At United Way of the Piedmont, we believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to thrive, and we are working every day to build a community where that is possible. We like to thank our event sponsors for supporting us in our work. This group of companies supports United Way of the Piedmont's events so that every donor dollar goes to making an impact in our community. Because of you, we're helping children arrive to kindergarten ready to learn and succeed. We're preventing families from becoming homeless and helping individuals receive the mental health services they need. We couldn't do this work without you. Thank you to this year's event sponsors, because change doesn't happen alone.
And now it is my privilege to introduce today's keynote speaker, Ebony Thomas. Ebony is the Racial Equality and Economic Opportunity Initiatives Executive, responsible for delivering Bank of America's $1.25 billion four-year initiative to accelerate work to help drive racial equality and economic opportunity for people and communities of color. Ebony serves on the board of directors of Central Piedmont Community College and is also a member of the Board of Visitors for the School of Business at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Ebony is a proud graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, where she earned a BA degree in English and History. She lives in Charlotte, where she is streaming live this morning to join us. Welcome, Ebony.
Thank you so very much. I am thrilled to be here. I'm always honored when I have the opportunity to, number one, represent the bank in the work that we do in support and service of our communities. But even more thrilled when I have an opportunity to talk to people, quite honestly, in my backyard. This work for us is very local. And so although I sit here in North Carolina, where I was born and raised and still have friends and family in the South Carolina area. So really thrilled and excited to be here today. So thank you. You know, I'm really, when I reflect on where we are right now in 2021, this has really been what I would call the most human experience and year that many of us have ever had in any generation. We've had a shared experience through the pandemic. We've had a shared experience of watching really racial inequality fold before our eyes. And so that shared experience, I think, in so many ways have made us more human, more empathetic, more understanding, and more connected than ever. And so I have the pleasure of leading the bank's racial equality and economic opportunity. And the demonstration of that racial equality and economic opportunity strategy is in the 1.25 billion resources that we will allocate to communities and people of color. So again, thrilled and excited to be here. For generations, systemic racism has created a racial wealth gap in America. We talk about 8-to-1 wealth gap between white families and Black families, 5-to-1 of that of Hispanic Latino families. And we recognize that the issue of racial equality and economic opportunity are deeply connected. Where there is racial injustices, there is also lack of economic mobility and opportunity. And so that's why in June of 2020, last year, June 2nd, we announced our $1 billion commitment that is now transformed into $1.25 billion. I will say that George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor were sparks for us. They were catalysts. Quite honestly, we've been deeply entrenched in our communities for a number of years, doing work on behalf of the bank, servicing people in communities of color. But the spark, the moment of obligation, as I like to call it, was met. And we doubled and we tripled down on our commitment to these communities through a number of initiatives under the 1.25 billion. And so as we think about helping the communities, we're focused on 4 particular areas within our racial equality and economic opportunity strategy. Number 1 is health. Second is small business, jobs, and housing. Very much on brand when we talk about jobs, small business, and housing. But the interesting part for us is that we've also focused on health, right? What the pandemic did is laid bare for everyone to see the inequities that exist in our community. And so we couldn't have a racial equality strategy without including health. They are interconnected. It's almost like you cannot have one without the other. And so health for us is such a strategic differentiator amongst others who made commitments over the last year, because we think that health is really one of those drivers to truly transform communities. And so the ways that we've demonstrated health, for example, is supporting, no-cost flu vaccines. People would say, well, wow, in the midst of a pandemic, why flu vaccines? Well, part of it is creating a culture, creating an awareness around vaccines and getting those vaccines. And what we expect this year, is a year where, we want to ensure that people have access to quality healthcare, and that the same healthcare that we would offer or services that we would offer our employees, we would also offer folks in our community. When we talk about jobs, we have our jobs initiative, which is really changing the paradigm of how we think about economic mobility. We have a system, or we are creating a system with 21 institutions across the country where we funded them each $1 million to really create career pathways directly into jobs. And so who we have at the table are the institutions who are the bedrock of any community. So historically Black colleges and universities, which we have a number in the backyard of South Carolina, community colleges, as well as Hispanic serving institutions. And so these core institutions and communities of color are really important. And we wanted to partner with these institutions to ensure that the jobs, through the industries on the other end of the table, created a direct pathway into these high demand, wealth creating opportunities for students and people of color. So when we think about this jobs initiative around across the country, we believe that it is, again, truly changing the paradigm, because it's not just the students and the institutions, but now you have the companies, the industries that are also at the table, directing curriculum, having discussions about what are the jobs, what are the skills needed. So it's a direct link and connection. Under our small business pillar, we've been focusing on venture capitalists, particularly Black and Hispanic Latino women fund managers. These are individuals who have been innovators and creators of small business and ideas, and yet have historically received less than 1% of capital to get these businesses off the ground. And so the work that we're doing in this space is creating two things. Creating capital, which is so important, but also access to services, access to networks, this wraparound that on top of the capital, you create this wraparound experience for these new businesses to ensure they are successful, introducing them to the right partners. And so again, this is work that is really rooted in change, is rooted in how do we take this 1.25 and truly be catalytic within our communities. And sometimes that means partnering with other organizations. That sometimes means reimagining work that we, Bank of America, have not been a part of, but now we have an opportunity to be a part of. And I will say that in this year, the engagement from our employees is at an all-time high. When we think about their, the notion that when we talk about diversity and inclusion and we talk about racial equity, a lot of them are connected within organizations, and we definitely connect the two very closely. And we often tell our employees to bring their whole selves. Well, what does that really mean? And this year, this past 16 months, has redefined what whole self means. We're in our homes every day. So you get to see my space, I get to see your space. And when I return to office, then I bring this space with me. I get to bring my community with me. I get to bring that shared experience. And so that whole self is really is what companies are going to have to embrace when employees come back into the office. And even if they don't, embrace that experience that they've had, embrace that that shared experience. And we think the work that we've done in the racial equity space has created this linkage between employees seeing themselves represented in the work, seeing their communities represented in what we care about, and servicing the communities in a very different way. And so we have a ton of employees who have just taken the initiative on their own. I mean, all employees, we're not talking about just Black and African American employees or Hispanic Latino or Asian employees who've been the victims of hate crimes and discrimination. All of our employees have raised their hand in some shape, form, or fashion to say, I want to be a part of the change. Help me understand what I don't know. What should I be reading? How should I respond? And I think folks are just a lot more engaged in that way. And the linkage to this work, I believe, is really catalyzed our employees and our clients as well. I mean, we also have a number of clients who have been engaged in the work, have asked us about, how do we think about racial equality and economic opportunity? How did we come up with our strategy? How did we ensure that those 4 pillars of jobs, small business, health, and housing also had a thread of systemic issues and making sure that we were focused on highlighting and supporting and funding through philanthropy systemic challenges that we continue to face. Mass incarceration, prison reform, environmental justice. As we think about talking about the shared experience of Americans through our work that we're doing with the Smithsonian. And so those are still critically important, and our employees also feel that same way. So what I want to do today is also close on the knowledge that in 2 days, we will celebrate Juneteenth. Personally, for me, Juneteenth is incredibly special because I am a historically Black college graduate. I went to North Carolina A&T, but it wasn't until 25 years ago, quite honestly, that I understood what Juneteenth means. And so the context of history is so critically important. It's important that we understand it, that we know it, that Juneteenth is American history. It might be through the lens of the Black experience, but it's American history. And it wasn't until I was a teacher outside of Houston, Texas, in a small town right between Galveston and Houston, where I really understood the meaning of Juneteenth and what it meant to celebrate Juneteenth. And so for me, those traditions that I learned 25 years ago have been now passed on to my family. And I think that the spark last year of the pandemic and racial equality have created an urgency of knowledge for people like none other. And their commitment and dedication and understanding of experiences that people have is just heartwarming. And so for those who are not aware of Juneteenth, I encourage you to learn about Juneteenth and the concept that that none of the enslaved were free until they all were, and they all knew about the Emancipation Proclamation. And so I think it's incredibly important. I'm excited and thrilled about the prospect of it being a national holiday at some point. But at any event, I am excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to share Bank of America's journey, talk about how our employees are really connected to the work. And if, again, for those who celebrate Juneteenth on Saturday, would like to just say happy Juneteenth. And on behalf of Bank of America, our 200,000 plus employees, Brian Moynihan and our management team, we appreciate the time and opportunity to share all the work that we've been doing and our deep respect and connection to the United Way. Thank you.
Ebony, thank you so much for being here today. Some very powerful words that I think we all can learn from, and not only all of us, but as community leaders, things that we can take back to our organizations in order to drive change. So thank you so much for being here this morning. And although virtually, we appreciate you taking the time to do that today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Parks Coggins with Spartanburg Regional, and I'm this year's campaign chair for the United Way of the Piedmont. And now it is my great pleasure to share United Way's Corporate Partner Awards. These are the companies going above and beyond for our community. And we're going to start with our Circle of Excellence Award. These companies are in this elite category of supporters because they meet exemplary campaign standards in multiple categories, including percent participation, per capita giving, and undesignated giving. Congratulations to Johnson Development Associates, Lockhart Power, McMillan Pasden Smith Architecture, Spartanburg Water, and William Barnett and Son. Next up is our Employee Campaign Coordinator of the Year. Employee Campaign Coordinators, or ECCs, are the true lifeblood to a United Way campaign. They are the boots on the ground at every company that help rally the troops and come up with innovative ideas to get people involved. We truly could not do our work at the United Way without them. And this year's ECC of the Year goes to Neil Williams with Lockhart Power.
I'm the president of Lockhart Power Company. I came here about 15 years ago. The United Way is a unique organization. I don't view it as being a charitable organization. I view it as being kind of the network that binds together a number of different organizations as well as potential donors. It's an ecosystem. You don't know when you're going to need a safety net from any of the agencies that are partnered with United Way, but it's really nice to have a sense that there will be a safety net there when you or your family or friends need that. There is no other entity like the United Way. It is unique, and that's why I've chosen to spend my time and invest my time with them. Neil has been running our campaign for about 8 years. It's his personal values and conviction that make him so effective. He has a real passion for helping people, for helping the communities that we serve, and it comes across in the way he runs the campaigns.
At Lockhart, I am the campaign coordinator, and I have been for the last 8 years. Really what made me a believer is getting to see just how stringent those guidelines are and how competitive that money is for the United Way to really vet those organizations that are benefiting from those funds every year. It really showed to me how serious the United Way was with taking those campaign dollars and making sure they were going to places where they'd actually be put to good use. So being the campaign coordinator at Lockhart Power is really easy. We have just phenomenal employees. It's a family atmosphere type company, and the people here just have good hearts. Asking them to contribute to something that has a good cause, I think it really resonates with the heart and the pulse of who we are as a company and as a people and a group of employees. United Way is successful in general for a number of reasons. Authenticity and transparency are so important, and I think the United Way really brings that to the table. You call the United Way answers, and then they're there for you, and I think that brings a lot of credibility to that partnership. For me personally, being a campaign coordinator or an ambassador for the United Way, it's really just about being a good steward of what we've been given. Thank you for the recognition. I'm honored to receive it. I know there's a lot of great campaigns out there. I really don't take a lot of credit for that here because it really is just about the great group of people we have here and just how generous they are.
Now it's time to recognize our Public Service Partner of the Year. At United Way of the Piedmont, you know we work with all kinds of organizations and companies. For-profit or not-for-profit, we want you at the table. Our Public Service Partner of the Year award is for those entities that might not fall into the traditional corporate category, but have demonstrated their support for United Way through not just their financial support, but their partnership in our work. This year, our Public Service Partner of the Year is One Spartanburg, Inc.
The work of economic development today is so much about people and people's conditions. We view our partnership with the United Way to be one of the most important partnerships we have because there's so many societal issues that are keeping people out of the workforce, that are keeping people from participating in advancing their lives and advancing their families. It's my job to really paint the best picture of our community, and there are a lot of positive things happening here. But, you know, there are people in our community that aren't experiencing that. We in Spartanburg are good about being authentic about our challenges, and we have many, but with every single challenge, there's opportunity. In a lot of ways, the United Way serves as our community's consciousness. A lot of us don't operate in circles where we just see abject poverty firsthand. We don't see a lot of the challenges as it relates to transportation or as it relates to, you know, problems at home becoming problems at work. Organizations like the United Way help us understand what a lot of people in our community are experiencing and trying to overcome. Many of us that are community leaders that work in the space of developing our community sometimes get lost in the 40 to 50,000, foot range, and we sometimes forget about the people. This year alone, we've recruited $791 million investment, 2,226 jobs, and I always try to remember while those numbers are impressive, those numbers represent families being supported, families being able to move up the ladder from an economic standpoint. And that's really what matters. And that's what gets you up and gets you motivated every single day. And, organizations like the United Way are making sure that we are keeping the people of Spartanburg County at the forefront. We are voluntarily, as a team, supporting the efforts of the United Way because they matter. They're making a difference, and they will continue to do so, not only today, but in the future.
Thanks, Alan. I know we are all very happy that things are somewhat getting back to normal after a crazy year due to COVID-19. And of course, the pandemic was particularly tough on small businesses. At United Way, we could not be more grateful for those companies with 100 employees or less that continue to support us, even in one of the most difficult economic times in memory. So, a huge congratulations to this year's Small Business Partner of the Year, Johnson Development Associates.
I am the payroll administrator for Johnson Development, and I've had the pleasure of working here for 35 years. I have been the campaign lead with Johnson Development for the United Way for the last 25 years. In keeping with our guiding principles, partnering with the United Way is a shared responsibility felt by our JDA employees. We feel that the United Way tackles the toughest challenges facing the most vulnerable in our community. Giving back to the community is important because we believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to thrive. The pledges that we make helps the United Way fight for education, financial stability, and good health for everyone in our community. I feel that our employees share a responsibility to the community and are eager to help those in need. The last year has really affected all of us in some way. Maybe a family member or our neighbors or someone that we know. So anything that we can do to make our community better and thrive is worth this opportunity. To be recognized as United Way's Small Business Partner of the Year is exciting and an honor. Our employees have a passion for making Spartanburg a better place to live, work, and raise our families. And it's been my privilege to spearhead these efforts, and our company thanks you for this recognition.
And now for our Large Business Partner of the Year. This award goes to a company with 100 or more employees, and this year's recipient had an increase in almost every campaign metric across the board. And as I said before, it's just incredible to see this level of support in a year that was challenging for so many in our community. This year's Large Business Partner of the Year is Timken Gaffney Bearing Plant.
I've been with Timken for 28 years now. I'm the HR manager here at Timken. Timken is one of the largest companies that's in Cherokee County. So it's important to give back to the community because in turn it helps our community flourish. We have very strong core values. I always look from an HR standpoint as ethics and integrity. I feel like our associates really value and embrace that. That's why we're successful in the community with doing things to, especially through United Way, that's just so resourceful and so many resources that we can tap into to help, whether it's a day of caring at the Boys and Girls Club painting or doing Meals on Wheels. Our ethics and integrity, it's not only in these four walls, we like to spread that out through the community, and United Way is a great tool for that. Our people are our cornerstone. We love our partnership with United Way here.
I have worked for the Timken Company for 15 years now. I am the HR and payroll analyst, and I have played a role with United Way throughout my 15 years with Timken to be the lead for that campaign. It's an honor. We here at the Gaffney facility, we're just more like family. Also to give our associates an opportunity to see the community they live in thrive and to know that they're a part of that. It really gives them a great sense of pride. It's a great honor to see Timken win this award and be recognized for their participation with United Way. For me personally, it's a great honor to work for a company that not only donates and supports and gives back to the community through United Way, but also encourages us as associates to do the same.
Live united!
And last, but certainly not least, we have our Chairman's Award, which goes to the corporate leader whose leadership and support in their workplace campaign has led to significant campaign growth. And this year's recipient not only supported United Way through his company's campaign, but was instrumental in securing additional corporate investment for COVID relief and other critical community interventions. I am honored to announce this year's Chairman Award goes to Dr. Jonathan Waller with the Timken Gaffney Bearing Plant.
Well, I've been with the Timken Company a little over 21 years. Been here at the Gaffney Bearing Plant right at 2 years. And over those 21 years, I've worked at about 7 or 8 different plants. And at each community, we've always had a relationship with the United Way. One of the focus areas for the Timken Company is to promote leadership. And we do that by building and investing in the communities in which we live and work. It starts with leadership and stressing to our associates the importance of supporting agencies like the United Way and the impact that the United Way has in our local community. And oftentimes our associates and their families have need of the resources that are provided by the United Way. So it's an opportunity to invest in our associates and their families. Well, one of our core values at the Timken Company is teamwork. So regardless of what project we decide to tackle, we'll tackle it as a team. So the work that the United Way does touches the community in so many areas, whether it's children, seniors, or adults, and all the agencies that they support through the United Way. We really see it as a benefit to everyone in the community. So it's a small way that we can play a role in the community. And it really is part of the expectation that we have in our culture. Now, if we were to look back at the end of our careers and the only thing we would have done is to produce millions of bearings, then I'm not sure we would call that a success. But being able to look back at some of the impact that we've had through the United Way and the projects that the United Way does really shows us that we're meeting our expectations and our full potential. The Chairman's Award, really it's an honor to receive it on behalf of the 17,000 associates at the Timken Company and the Timken Foundation. We have associates that sit halfway around the world, and they play a vital role in helping us to achieve our mission day in and day out. So it surely isn't just a one-person show, but it really is the entire team here at the Gaffney Bearing Plant and throughout the Timken Corporation.
Thank you, Dr. Waller, and congratulations. Again, I want to say a huge congratulations to all of our award recipients for their commitment to the United Way of the Piedmont. You have made a difference not only in your workplace, but community, and we thank you. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and start looking ahead. As we recover and begin to rebuild from the past year, United Way will play a critical role in convening partners and resources to tackle our community's biggest challenges. And that's the great thing about the United Way. They know that change does not happen alone. We have to work together to make the kind of change that is needed to happen. And today, I'm excited to share with you all that we are off to a great start. We have several companies who have already held United Way campaigns this year and have shown that they are in this work with us. Despite the continuing economic challenges, these companies have raised a total of $553,603. You can clap for that if you're virtually. Thank you to Denny's, Lockhart Power, Purpose Financial, Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System, and USC Upstate for being amazing pace setters. And I also want to say this, since Spartanburg Regional is on the list, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our associates, 10,000 plus associates, for the amazing work they've done over the past year throughout the pandemic, and to also thank them for their continued support of the United Way and its mission. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Drake, and I'm United Way of Piedmont Resource Development Chair for this year. I've been fortunate to serve on United Way's board for many years and seen firsthand the impact this incredible organization has on our community. This morning, we've heard about how we should all be striving for equity, not only in our workplace, but in our communities. We've also heard about the amazing support of United Way's corporate partners. And before we let you go this morning, I want to take a moment to share how those are connected. When we support United Way, we're not just donating to one organization or one cause. We're investing in our community's future. United Way is the leader in stability in Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union counties because we are addressing the root causes of instability. By addressing issues like homelessness, housing, mental health, and early education, we can ensure that our community is a place people want to live, want to work, want to start a business. And we know that we can do this because our community is a special place, a place where people come together to make sure that as we grow together. No one gets left behind or forgotten. Upstream initiatives like Community Resource Coordinators and the Opportunity House Collaborative have the power to make long-lasting, positive change happen. And United Way of the Piedmont's COVID response through the United for All Fund has demonstrated this organization's ability to rise to the challenge of the moment while keeping an eye on the future. We've got a long way to go to fully recover from COVID-19 and get back on track to our bold goals. But our phenomenal pace setters have set the tone. Now it's your turn. We hope you'll join United Way this year and make sure that everyone in our community has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.